All right, thank you, Bill, and welcome everyone, and thank you for taking time out of your busy afternoon schedule. We have lots of options here in Sumter County for doing different social organizations. We have the Democratic Women's Club, and we have the Villages Democratic Club, and we have Liberal and Independent Ladies. But the working arm of the Democratic Party is us, the Democratic Executive Committee. This is our headquarters. This is where we do our postcarding. This is where we create our scripts. This is where we do our texting and robocalling and postcards and all of the things to outreach and try and get out the vote. Our effort this year is really to make sure everybody is enrolled in vote by mail. It expired for everyone at the last election. So we have clipboards over here with a vote by mail card if you have not had a chance to re-enroll. We also are collecting petitions for abortion protection as well as clean water protection. So those clipboards with ink pens are on the side. Please don't leave without having completed one, and then there's a collection basket next to us. We feel outnumbered in Sumter County. We are considered by the state of Florida a small red county. Despite the fact that we have 25,000 Democrats, we're outnumbered by 40,000. So we feel outnumbered because we are. However, we have a fabulous organization here. We led the 2022 election with turnout for the general. We led the primary turnout. In 2020, we were second in the general. Frankly, I would have traded all of that to have our big blue counties lead and beat me, but nonetheless, we do what we can. Not only are we reaching out in Sumter County, but we are reaching out to other counties that are not as well organized or as fortunate as we are. We have a great team. We have lots of things if you want to get active. Again, you can do postcards, you can help with texting. If you don't want to do any of that, write a check. So we have lots of things to do. Again, thank you for coming, and I'll turn it back to Bill.
Bob is a little modest. I moved up from Broward County, and I will tell you, if Broward County had this kind of organization, we would have won elections last November. And someplace back there is Ann Berg, and I just want to give her a shout out and say thank you. She always shows up for us. I don't know if she's handing out cookies or what she's doing. Hi, Ann. Just wave, Ann. Yeah. Ann is one of my new best buddies that I've made. I know I can count on her when I need it. And thank you. Bob mentioned this is a small county, but it acts like a big county. I mean, he kind of brushed over the fact that they've been working with other small counties that don't have DECs and helping them to do things like reach out to voters and find unregistered voters. And I'm very impressed by it, very much so. As I mentioned, this event is sponsored by the LGBTQ Democratic Caucus of the Nature Coast region. I'm sorry, it's a terrible mouthful, I'm hoping that we do our bylaws change, we might get rid of 2 or 3 of those words, maybe. But anyway, I'd like to introduce Nathan Sharp, who is the president of our caucus.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, I can push the button. You did not prep me for the text. Hello?
Cool.
Okay.
Just have to hold it real close to you.
Real close? Okay. All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you, Bob, and of course, Chris, for being amazing host once again this year. 54 years ago, on a hot, sultry night in New York City, a group of queer humans said enough was enough, and they didn't do so quietly. This tipping point in the history of the modern day LGBTQ+ rights movement was a riot. Memorous note, the agitated crowd took the streets chanting gay power and liberate Christopher Street. LGBTQ+ youth who gathered at Christopher Park, some of them homeless and with little social capital, challenged police, linked arms, and formed a blockade. Police charged the crowd, but rather than disperse, the mob retreated to the neighborhood they knew so well in its network of narrow, winding streets. They double-backed and regrouped at the Stonewall Inn in Christopher Park, surprising the police. Stonewall empowered a range of advocacy, but it was not the beginning of the movement. Just 3 years earlier, an officer placed his hand on a trans woman at Compton's cafeteria in San Francisco. She threw a cup of coffee in his face. That night ended with overturned tables, a destroyed police car, a newsstand set on fire, and the women hauled off in paddy wagons. These are just 2 examples of flashpoints in the movement that was supported by LGBT+ rights organizations, which began appearing throughout the 1920s in all corners of our country, including, of all places, Arizona. The Pride movement was born from these events, and the celebration has taken many forms across our country and around the world. It has become the most well-known and visible symbol of the LGBTQ+ civil rights movement. Courageous humans, like the ones in this very room, have stood on the street corners in protest. They have stood in the halls of government and demanded equal protection, equal rights for our community. They have spoken to their families, their friends, and their neighbors about the importance of all Americans being free to pursue their American dream. Since 2016, attacks against the progress of the LGBTQ+ community towards equality have increased. And during the 2023 legislative session in Florida, a record number of anti-LGBT+ bills passed and were signed by the governor. Boo! This legislation, and let's be frank, was created so DeSantis could ingratiate himself with Trump's MAGA base. A base that was built on years of Trump's government-approved hatred, which in turn sparked a terrifying resurgence of prejudicial anti-LGBTQ+ laws. In DeSantis' attempt to prop up his failing presidential campaign, LGBTQ+ humans, especially members of our trans community and our youth, are being forced to live in fear for their very lives. We've nicknamed these bills as the slate of hate, and for good reason. This legislation was designed with the goal of making it more dangerous for our community to live in the state of Florida and to persuade our allies from all sectors to abandon us. Ian from Equality Florida will be talking about those bills in detail a little bit later. So who are the Nature Coast LGBT+ Dems? We're a group of everyday people, just like you, who are working to make a difference in our communities. We're an all-volunteer organization that derives its strength and its passion from our individual team members who work as a team to promote equality and work on other issues. Our organization works to bring awareness about the LGBTQ+ community to our neighbors, to our local elected officials, government agencies. We work with our Democratic executive committees, the other Democratic orgs like the Villages Democratic Club, the Villages Women's Club, etc. We register voters, participate in Get Out the Vote initiatives, and other activities to support the election of Democrats up and down the ticket. We must continue fighting for what is right and good for our state and our great nation. We also seek to build community. Our small rural counties often lack the infrastructure of Pride organizations or LGBT+ centers, which help build that base of community and activism. We work with local organizations and small business to foster the sense of community. We hope you'll consider joining us or another Democratic organization in our county. I'll now turn it back over to Billy Valiance, who will be talking about our parent organization, the LGBT+ Democratic Caucus of Florida. Bill.
I can see I'm going to have to give Nathan a pronunciation guide on my last name. It's veins like the blood vessel.
Like vein?
Yeah, like. I always wanted my sister to name her child Weather, but she would not go along with that at all. Anyway, State Caucus. Yes, I wear many hats here. I am also the new treasurer of the Florida LGBTQ+ Democratic Caucus. I go back a long ways. 20 years ago, we had a very small caucus in the state, and people from Miami-Dade and Broward and Palm Beach County, and I remember Sally Phillips in Hillsborough County, we got together and reorganized, and at that point it was the GLBT Democratic Caucus. In the last 20 years, we've added other names, other symbols, and we've become a very large statewide organization. We now have, how many chapters? We have 9 regions, all in Florida.
20 chapters.
And we have 20 chapters right now. They go all the way from Escambia down here, all the way to Miami-Dade. We used to have a chapter in Key West. They've had a little bit of trouble. We're working on getting them back together again. But this is the umbrella organization for our regional chapter. And we have we just elected new officers in February, I think it was. And when you have a complete changeover of state officers like that, it's taken us a couple of months to get our feet back underneath ourselves, but you'll be hearing more and more of us as time goes on. And with that,
Use your outside voice.
I don't have an outside voice. I'm an inside person. Yeah, that did not come out right. One of the things we're hoping you'll leave here with the idea is, how do I get involved? What can I do? We've seen the results of what happened last November in Florida. People were so turned off by the $200 million that our governor was throwing out in advertising everywhere that, except for places like this, they did not go out and vote. And we're paying the price for that now. We have a legislature that is so Republican. The Democrats have really almost nothing to say. As you saw from this, though, by showing up, if you saw any videos in Tallahassee during session this year, we were everywhere. And while we didn't have many wins, we did keep some bad things from getting worse. But like you heard, next year it's going to be the same thing. So get involved with your local DEC. The stuff that we're doing here is fantastic. Candidates here, we're kind of limited as to who we get to vote for. But find candidates elsewhere that you know are going to go to Tallahassee and speak for us. That's something you can do. Join our local caucus. Your funds help us do events like this. By the way, I'm so pleased with the fact that we ran out of chairs, and I want to say thank you to the people who are willing to stand up in the back. I appreciate that. Great turnout. Feel free to join the state caucus or support the Florida Democratic Party. Unfortunately, Democrats do not get the big funds from businesses or like anybody else. They rely upon us for our funds and for us to do the legwork to get out and vote. And make sure you sign some of these petitions. The legal marijuana petition is pretty much assured that they've got enough petitions now. That's just got to survive some legal challenge. They've gathered, 100,000 petitions so far for the abortion amendment. Those types of petitions are going to drive voters, particularly young voters, to the polls next November. And we're hoping that they save our asses, because frankly, my generation is not doing that. And finally, I want to turn it over to Chris Anderson, who is This is the vice chair of the Sumter Democratic Party and is the at-large director for our regional caucus for here in Sumter County, and she's a delight. And she and her wife have been together for 50 years now. Oh, wow. Where is she? And I salute you.
Okay, one of the things, and thank you, Ian, for enlightening us on all the legislation, and our theme today was to focus on the youth in Sumter County and to learn what they are facing. So the question you might have is, a lot of us don't have family in Sumter County. We're not from here, we're from other states. So what can we do? Well, Bill gave you some ideas, I'm going to give you some more. Okay. There is a table over there where Brian is. We have postcards. We would like for you to take a pack of postcards, and there's some instructions there, and send one to every member of our school board. They are the ones that are responsible for making sure that our students are safe when they go to school. And we have a couple of ideas of things you could say in your postcard if you would like. If you want to do 5, they're all clipped together in groups of 5. I have all of the names and addresses here. Now, suppose you don't want to do a postcard. I have their email, so feel free to email them as well. Now, you can email them and write a postcard. Don't be afraid. So they're over there where Brian is. Be sure to pick those up before you leave, because we want to be sure that they keep all students, including the LGBT youths, safe. Now, there's another project we have. We are concerned that the youth in Sumter County don't know where they can go for resources. Teachers are afraid to talk to them. Their parents are afraid of what is available to them. So we have gone through and we have identified resources for them that they can go to. It includes things like GLAD, it includes HRC, but it also includes therapy groups, Equality Florida, everything that they can do. So we made some little cards that we think might catch their attention. So they're all different little graphics on here. On the back is a QR code, and when they scan that QR code, and you know the kids know how to do that. When they scan that QR code, they will be taken to the list of all the different resources. Now, if you take them home and you think this is just the cutest thing you've ever seen, you're going to put it on your refrigerator, that will not get to a kid. So we want you to take it to Target and hide it in the dress room. We want you to take it to McDonald's and kind of slip it somewhere. Go to the library and find a book a kid might read and slip it in there. Find creative ways to hide these. Let's suppose that you're at one of the country clubs and you're having dinner and you know that waiter is gay. Give them one of these. Make sure they know where the resources are for them. Now, you may say, these are just great designs and I just love them. Don't worry. We make buttons out of those designs. So you wear the buttons, give the kids the card. So this is your party favor. You get a button, you choose whichever one. They're all around the room. There's some up here. You will also notice that there are little groups of flags. That's another one of your party favors. Take it and wave it proudly because we are here. We're not going to go away. We are going to stand up to our politicians and make sure that they represent and protect this community. So thank you. Please be active in any way. And again, I'm the fundraising chair for the Sumter Democrats, so yes, I'll take a check. Yeah, I have to say that.
We fly those on our golf cart.
Yeah, fly it on your golf cart. Be proud of it. And so take one of those. I've got more in the back because I couldn't get them all in those little areas. Take a button. We have plenty of refreshments. We'll turn the music back on. Enjoy being with each other. Enjoy. This is a great crowd. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you have questions?